Good morning. Good morning, Oblivion. Good to see you. All right, we're here. We're in it. Good morning, Amanian. Good to see you guys. Hope you all are doing well. Trying to sort myself out here. Good morning, Blackfire. Yes, Oblivion beat you to it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Amanian. Sorry to hear you're not doing so well. I hope you feel better. Excuse me. Maybe if you hang out here in the stream long enough, you'll start to feel better. Oh, goodness. Yes, you are third. Oh no, chores and appointments. That sounds like you're trying to adult today. Adulting is not fun. Adulting is the least fun part of being an adult. For sure. But yes, I hope the same thing for you too. I hope you have a great week. Good morning, Con. Yeah. Long time no see. Yeah, long time no see indeed. All right, I guess it's time to get our terminal tabs here organized and then try to make some progress. Let's see. Make this NeoVim. NeoVim. Make this our terminal. Let's see, terminal. Change into this guy. Maybe a little bigger. And then go ahead and fire up NeoVim. And now we're ready to go. Activate focus mode. Toggle focus mode. Alright, I didn't work at all. My taxes came in as well. Adulting definitely not fun. Dude, taxes. Ugh. Yeah, that's like peak adulting. Peak adulting. That's no fun at all. I still got to do my taxes. Oh, my eyes are watering. Oh, Amani, I'm sorry, man. Maybe you might need to go to the doctor. If I had stomach pain that bad, I would definitely go see a doctor. Definitely not something you want to just tough your way through, you know? Alright, so where did we leave off? Okay, where we left off yesterday was we were implementing an endpoint so that we can test creating a public token. So let's go ahead and set up a test request here. Create, or I think we called it generate public token. I don't think we have a name for it yet. Here we'll need some test JSON. So this will be, I think we were calling this institution ID. Good morning, Bob. Good to see you. Let's see. Which front-end framework do you usually use for small projects? I'll typically, if it's a really small project, like if it's something like that Stream Commands website, like this guy. Let's see, commands. Yeah, if it's something like this website, I'll just use vanilla JS, vanilla CSS, and HTML. Like this is just a single HTML file, single JavaScript file. So I'll go as simple as something like this for small projects. If it's a little bit more complex, like it has more interactivity, then I'll usually use Vue or React. Those are the two front-end frameworks that I have used the most and know the most about. But sometimes
we just become best friends?
Khalil, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate you. Sometimes small projects are a great excuse to learn something new. And I've really wanted to check out SvelteKit and Solid.js. So maybe this is a good excuse for you to learn something new, depending on how you look at it. Good morning, Danny. Good to see you. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. The WTF command works. It works. All right, now we got to do this guy. How was my trip? It was good. Yeah, I got to see my family, and I got to see both my family and my wife's family, and saw my nephews and nieces. My kids got to play with their cousins. So we celebrated my wife's mom's birthday, 60th birthday. So that was good. Yeah, nothing terribly exciting, but just a good solid family trip, you know. Good solid trip home. Morning, Almighty. Good to see you. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you guys for stopping by. Did any of you guys watch the Primogen stream yesterday? Because I basically watched it all day, and I laughed my ass off the whole time. It's almost Lunar New Year here, and I'm so busy. Oh, are you in? Where are you based in? Did he really delete the entire repo? Dude, that was hilarious. Well, Wayfaring Tenno, I'm guessing you're talking about the Primogen stream, right? When they had a friend on there, Dylan Mulroy, I think is his name. He like vibe coded. He vibe coded a commit that blew away like all their code. It was hilarious. Vietnam, nice. Okay, yeah. Lunar New Year, huh? So what makes Lunar New Year a busy time of year? Just trips and vacations, or what's that? What's the situation there? I'm not familiar. Yeah, if you guys haven't watched the Primogen stream from yesterday, you probably should, and you should probably watch. I think they're streaming every day, like all day this week. And if you're not up on it, I would highly recommend you be. They're much more entertaining than my streams. TJ DeVries? No, it was well, TJ was there, but they had another friend from. He works at Cloudflare. His name's Dylan, and I'm pretty sure it's Dylan Mulroy. He streams too, I think, on Twitch. Dylan, this guy. But yeah, it was pretty fucking funny to watch somebody vibe code and then blow away. Yeah, this guy right here. He is a software engineer at Cloudflare, and I'm pretty sure his Twitch is. Pretty sure he's on Twitch. Let me see if I can find his Twitch. I bet his links are on GitHub. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, he's on Twitch here. This was the guy that deleted all their code. It was really funny. Did you hear about AI.com? They did an ad in the Super Bowl. I have not heard about AI.com. What's their shtick? Yeah, that's fine. It was hilarious. It was hilarious for real. For real, for real. For real life. If any of you are parents and you've ever watched Bluey, you'll understand that reference. For real life. Forgiven. What's your current NeoVim configs? Actually, if you type !NeoVim in the chat or !invim, my bot will respond with a link to my configs. And you're welcome to use them and fork them and change them and make them exactly what you want. I got 2 weeks off, visited relatives, then went on trip, then rushed to meet deadlines. Well, I mean, it's great that you got to go on trips. It's great that you got to visit your relatives, but not so great that you have to rush to meet deadlines. So I'm sort of glad you're busy, but also part of your busyness I'm not glad for. I watched the beginning, turned in right when the commit blew away the repo. Yeah, that was a good time to tune in. I love the inner monologue dialogue where it's like they flip that camera and it's black and gray, and he's like, "Oh no, how could I have done that? It was so terrible." Yeah, the inner monologue camera is fucking hilarious. This coding vibe has led some of my friends to create a bunch of bugs and then have to clean them up. I mean, I guess they're learning, vibe coding, I guess vibe coding is an entry point for some people. Maybe that's what will be the thing that hooks them on being, good at coding. Or maybe some people just will vibe code their whole life, Who knows? I think you can use AI.com to launch your own AI. At least that's what they say on their website. Okay. Well, let me see. Let me go to their. I've never been to that website. I'm guessing that website costed a ton of money. Let's see. Claim your handle, launch your AI. All right. This is probably. You guys think this is legit? AI.com is on a mission to accelerate the arrival of AGI by building a decentralized network of autonomous, self-improving AI agents that perform real-world tasks. Join now to claim your unique AI.com username. Chris Marzalak? Who's this guy? Who's this fella? Jacuse, what code is this? The code that you see on the screen is code that I'm writing. This is C sharp. So if you don't know the programming language, this is C sharp. And this is code for an endpoint in my API for an application that's going to be kind of the central hub of where I manage my personal finances. That's what we're kind of building at the moment. They paid $70 million for the domain. Holy shit. Okay. I just want everyone to pause for a second. Okay? Just want everyone to pause for a second. Think about that. Okay? There is so much abundance in the world that somebody spent $70 million on a 2-letter domain. That's fucking nuts. And yet, in the same exact world, there are starving children. What? Oh my gosh, $70 million. That is nuts. Oh, he's a crypto.com founder. I don't know. Did crypto just enter the chat? Did the crypto bros just enter the chat? I don't know. I don't know, guys. This doesn't seem good. The world makes no sense. It literally makes no sense, Bob. It makes absolutely no sense. And because it makes absolutely no sense, that's why I fundamentally believe we can honestly do whatever the fuck we want and achieve anything we want. Because if somebody can buy, if someone can sell a domain for $70 million, none of it makes any sense, which means you can do whatever you want. Good morning, Duck Boy. Good to see you. Perform real-world tasks for the good of humanity, for sure, for sure. Yeah, a little sus. In my opinion, you use a lot of nuance with vibe coding. Oh, you for sure lose nuance. I mean, it's kind of interesting to watch some really good engineers like the Primogen and TJ and their friends. It's pretty interesting to watch guys that are competent engineers sort of vibe code, and you can tell that even they can't keep up with all the changes that are being made by the agents, and they are just kind of like I mean, I know that's part of like the whole thing that they're doing, like it's part of the vibes that they're trying to put off, but still you can tell that like yeah, when you're vibe coding, it's impossible to keep all the information in your head at the same time. I'm studying for the digital signature exam to prepare for job applications after graduation, but some people say DSA is redundant, which is really confusing. I guess I've never heard of digital signature exam. In my world, DSA means data structures and algorithms. So that's never heard of that. Hopefully it's not redundant. Hopefully you're not wasting your time. I'm going to try it just to see what happens. Yeah, I kind of want to sign up at least to claim my username. I don't want other people to have my username. Here, let's try it. Excuse me. Which I don't know which account I should connect. If this thing gets hacked, I don't want. All right, choose handles for yourself and your AI. Steven. Oh no, it's already taken. There's that many other Stevens in the world. Oh no. What should we name our AI? Ilmani, and be careful. Yeah, we probably should be careful because it is the crypto bros, you know. What would be? Oh, I know. We'll just make it the same name as my coding agent. No way. No way. The first thing they want me to do to make an account is to put my payment information in here. That's not happening. I am not giving the crypto bros my payment information. No, thank you. So, so about that. Today we're not going to be looking at AI.com. Dude, that's so sus. Right? I mean, it's not, I guess other businesses do that. Like, other businesses definitely do that. So, but yeah, I don't know. That didn't give me the warm and cozies. A little bit suspicious. I'm not super suspicious, but I'm a little suspicious. That's pretty funny, dude. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I guess we'll just go back to doing our trad coder stuff. Yeah, I didn't hear. I guess I missed that Super Bowl ad. I thought I watched most of the ads, but I must have missed that one. Huh. So hold on, before we move on from that topic though. So what is the goal of the company? Like, what is the they just basically trying to create like a Claude bot, but a kind of a closed system Claude bot? Let's see. What is AI.com? So it's designed to provide consumers with personalized autonomous agents. The site allows users to reserve personalized handles for AI agents meant to manage tasks, organize workflows, and operate across apps. Yeah. Okay. Kind of like some sort of an open Claude bot. Here's the thing though. Here's my theory about this. I definitely get a sense that the crypto bros are moving to vibe coding. We're going to see a bunch of duplicate slop software products. Oh, goodness. No, thank you. No, thank you. We do not need more duplicate slop products. Here's the thing, though, with this idea of the Claude bots or I think it's OpenClaw now. I think there's a real risk you run with building on things that are how do I do this? Let me draw this. It'll make more sense if I draw it, right? Or hopefully. So fundamentally, what make AI agents useful, right? What makes an AI agent useful is its ability to get context and perform actions, right? It's a combination of these two things, right? Oftentimes, though, the context lives outside of the agent. The context that you want the agent to have or you want the agent to go and get lives outside of itself, right? And the actions you want the agent to take 9 times out of 10 are in places other than your local machine. In a lot of cases, especially if we're talking about work, right? So in most cases, you want to, I don't know, look at your Gmail, right? Or you want to do stuff with your Slack. Let's see. I mean, this is what OpenClaw, right? This was the special part that OpenClaw did. It allowed people to connect it to all these different various sources of context, if you will, whatever you want to call them, data sources, integrations. Maybe this is talking to Salesforce. But that's essentially what you have going on here, right? It's like all these disparate systems that serve as systems of record for companies or your personal life, and ClaudeBot can reach out and interact with these systems. In other words, ClaudeBot becomes like this middleware. I know it's more than that, but it'll really become sort of like a middleware to help you do things, right, through a natural language interface. The problem with this, though, is that all of these tools don't want to lose their users. Like they don't want the user interaction and the user engagement to move here, right? And they definitely, if they're a provider of AI, right, they definitely don't want you not using their AI in their tool, right? Google would much prefer you use Gemini in Gmail, and Slack would much prefer you use their AI assistant. So I think it's this world that we're being promised right now, where you're going to have these agentic AI tools and all of these companies just freely allow the AIs to plug into them, I don't know, man. That seems precarious. Like, I don't know, like, at what point do companies say, you know what? Nah, you can't do that. It seems like a dubious proposition if you're somebody who's building one of these agentic tools. It's interesting, but it seems precarious. Not sure how far they're going to get with that. My thoughts. Sort of fleshed out, but not really fleshed out. But sort of fleshed out. More to come. I think that's going to end up being a blog post or something. All right, back to the code. All right, so we got a request var public token equals await plaid dot generate test public token institution ID. And then I guess we'll just return this here for now. Public token. I think we already implemented that. Go to definition. Yep. So we already implemented this. So now we should go to program. This also needs to be map generate public token. And we actually only want this to be mapped in the development when it's in development. So let's do an if statement. If app.is is development, then we will do app.map. All right, now that we have a way to get our public token, we should be able now to use our public token as a part of our request here. So add account takes a public token, which we don't have yet. And this takes account / public token. So let's go ahead and run that, .NET run. Good evening, Bradley. Good to see you. Hey, Steven, you still working on your finance app? Yeah, I am. K-Edits. That's what I'm working on right now. We're working on support right now for connecting accounts. So that's what we're getting ready to test at the moment. It's going fairly well. We haven't got, I think, to the hard part, which is going to be the front end. I think the front end interaction with the Plaid API will be the most difficult part of this project so far, because it seems like, well, actually, I take that back. The Plaid API seems to treat different accounts differently. So if like you're talking to an investment account, like if you're talking to Vanguard versus Capital One, it seems like they handle those two types of accounts differently. So I think the nitty-gritty detail of the Plaid API is going to end up being probably the hardest part. But so far, we're having a good time. No crash outs yet. No frustration. Hopefully they won't do anything bad to my information. I hope so, man. I hope so. Oh, we gotta do a get. Oh, we need to do an institution ID. Oh, this should probably be a post, shouldn't it? Since it's got a request body. Yeah, let's actually switch this up. Let's do institution. I can't spell that word for some reason. Let's see, what are Plaid's test? Plaid test institutions. So these are all banks that you can test with. Endpoint. Oh, you know what? I think that means if I do that, I think it means that I can just do string institution ID. This. I know that's like half a dozen of the other, but that feels better to me, so I'm gonna make the change. Today I spent 2 hours trying to fix a bug I created after a refactor, specializing or serializing a payload into JSON bytes and not actually passing it into a memory stream. Damn, dude, that sucks. Let's see. I had a similar relatable story recently where I was doing something like this where I was deserializing. Well, I had two things happening. So I had like the body, and I deserialized I read the body to a string. And then I had another one that was like JSON, where I read the body to a type. And then somewhere further down in the code, I was doing something like var send to something. And it kept not being correct. And it was because I was calling the some method with body versus with JSON. That was the only difference. And I could not for the life of me figure that out until like 2 hours later, kind of in your scenario, where I like stared at the code. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm passing the wrong variable. Yeah, I mean, those are those logic bugs, right? That just, there's not really a good way for anyone to tell you that you're doing the wrong thing. Unless you look at your code. That doesn't sound like a fun 2 hours, Bradley. Starting at my controller, right lines everywhere. Yeah, those are tough, man. Those are tough. And I'm sure some AI bros out there like, guys, just paste it into Gemini. Those are frustrating ones for sure. Let's see, .NET. I'm gonna do .NET Watch. I'm also gonna blow my nose real quick. What are you building? I am building a personal finance app. David, creating an OS is peak. I am not creating an operating system. I'm creating an operating system in the sense that, like, this is where I'm going to operate my financial life from, or is the plan that I'm going to use this application to track all my transactions, keep an eye on my net worth, look at all the balances of all my bank accounts. But I'm not building an operating system in the computer sense of the word, which I'm very much regretting the name at this point, but I'm committed. So I'm sticking to it. Let's see. Unable to generate test public token. Unable to generate test public token. What happened? What happened? I guess this is why it would be good to have some logging in my application. It does seem like it did make the right call. So I guess let's log out what the issue was here. iLogger plaid service. Good morning, Rampla. Good to see you. David, I wonder, have you ever used a tree before, like a binary tree? Because I do love binary trees and they're super elegant. I don't know if I've ever used a binary tree. Nothing sticks out in my mind. Let's see, and don't forget the branch predictor. The branch predictor needs to predict correct all the time. You can optimize for branch predictor. Yeah, I don't know what you're really talking about, David, but glad you're here, man. Sounds like you're doing some shit that's way over my head. Morning, Rampla. Good morning. Bradley, I usually just try catch everything, especially in controllers. So I have a global... do I have a global... I think I have a global middleware somewhere. I can't remember if I added that or not. But right now, that's essentially what's happening, is it's just returning to me whatever the topmost exception is. But in this case, it's not going to help because the information I'm throwing in the exception is not very helpful for me to figure out why this is not working. So we need to add a logger here. But yeah, I agree. I don't know if I necessarily throw from the controller in my I guess more recently than not, like in the last year and a half or 2 years, my approach has been services, like the middle tier of the application deals with results. Anything deeper down the stack throws exceptions. And then the consumer of the kind of middle tier, like your controllers or basically your application code, it deals with the returned results of the services. That's how I've been building a lot of things. So I basically use like a mix of exceptions and results for control flow, and I've come to like that approach. We need to see what's happening here. So we're not successful. So before we throw, we should probably do logger .log error, something like unable to retrieve I guess we'll do like status code. Let's see, what was it? ptr.status code. I wonder what other information is on this thing. You have status code, you have error, oh, you have an error property. Let's do that. Status code. And then just error. ptr.error code. Error.display messages. A user-friendly representation of the error code, null if the error is not related to the user. Error message, a developer-friendly representation of the error message. Okay. We can do that. Alright, let's see what I messed up here. Restart the application. Go back over to Postman. See what's happening. I think he's referring to the OS and physical OS. Oh yeah, I'm not building an operating system. Let's see, maybe you could use some financial values in register X1 as volatile memory. Then whenever you want, you can store into DRAM, then talk to the memory controller. Although high-level languages help. Good to know that is a financial app because I just saw the stream and joined quite early in. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here, but nothing you're saying is really relevant to what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything low level. I'm using C#, which is a garbage collected language. So I don't have to write any of that. I don't have to deal with registers. Yeah, I definitely don't have to do that. All right, let's see. What did we log out here? Bad request. The following fields are missing. Client ID. The following fields are missing. Client ID. Why do I have to pass the client ID? Shouldn't that already be set in the client? Yeah, I feel like that should already be set in the client. Here, I know how to look this up. I know how to fix this. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, so there's something going on because I shouldn't need to send the client ID. The client should already have the ID. So there's something wrong with my services here. So let's see. We have Plaid client options. We have a Plaid client logger. Then we generate the new Plaid client, which is what my singleton should be referring to. Let's see. Get let's do console.writeLine client options dot value dot client ID. Okay, and then I guess that shouldn't probably get Is that not going to show up? This is where using a debugger would be really helpful. But I just struggle with using the debugger in such a small little window. There's just not enough screen real estate to use it. Okay, so something is not getting bound. We are configuring our options up here. Right? So we're saying Plaid client options. Oh, there we go. That's what copy and paste will do for you. It'll introduce small little issues like that. Melty, in your terminal window, can't you change the resolution of the terminal window? You mean like make it you mean like make the text smaller or make the text bigger? Is that what you mean by changing the resolution? Like this? I can definitely do that. But then it's like really hard for you guys to see. Because that's the like that's what I mean by like it's difficult for me to debug inside the tiny little window because the point of this is to try to make sure that you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. So that's why I feel like if I make it full screen and I try to debug it, well then you guys lose all the context of what I'm doing. At some point, I do think at some point the stream needs to switch to a horizontal format. But the problem with switching to a horizontal format is then I lose the benefits of the shorts channel. So it's kind of a catch-22 from my perspective. Hey, there we go. Public token. Now we can go over here and say, but yeah. Looky there. We're doing it. Yeah, because a smaller amount of characters in the space can't fit enough data. So you make the font size smaller to fit more data to debug. I could do that. It just makes it a lot harder to read. Really small characters on the screen, you know? This is just not ideal. Melty, I respect that. You're probably only one of the few people who try to ensure that we can see everything. I mean, I don't even I did that's my biggest concern is just making sure that like if you do care about what I'm doing on the screen that you're able to kind of like get the context. But it's just difficult to do in the tiny little narrow window. All right. Now time for the real work. We need to stick this into our database. So let's have the question is I'm not really sure what pieces of information I should be sticking into the database. So I think I'm going to start with fewer. Like I'm going to start with a small amount of information and then work to more information. So I think we definitely want account ID. And we definitely want name. What else? I don't know what the types mean. Type and subtype, I don't know what those mean yet. So I'm not going to mess with those. And then we definitely want the balance information. So we want available, current, want the limit. I don't think we won't need the limit. I don't think we need the currency code. I feel like the currency code is always going to be the same. Let's ask Gemini. David, I'm tweaking, or have you just got your token swinging about right now? Hold on, what? What? I don't think you're tweaking, but what are you asking me? Zolo, what languages are you using? I'm using C Sharp. C Sharp and TypeScript as well. Probably end up using for this project. I thought you were working on Golang. I did learn Golang. I used Golang, or I learned Golang all of the month of November of last year, and then I used it for Advent of Code, and it was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed that language. But I do prefer working in C Sharp and TypeScript. Those are kind of my two favorite languages at the moment. David Bailey, token plus headers. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean, David. I'm sorry. I'm not following. There's got to be some creative way for your vert stream to see properly. It would definitely take a lot of work. Using a mouse following feature would probably work for all the windows other than term. Yeah, I wonder what that would look like. I think that would be kind of ideal. Like a mouse following feature or cursor following feature. If you know of anything like that, Melty, I would love to try some of that stuff out. So if you know of anything like that that does that, that would be awesome. I wonder if you could build a browser source to just output your terminal content. Maybe the problem with that is just the resizing of the window, right? That's the problem. Is if your terminal is 1920 by 1080, but you want to show it in the source as whatever whatever the dimensions are that are on the screen at the moment, right? How do you take the 19 by 20 and put it in the source window, right? Ideally, like you said, it would be cropped and you could follow the cursor or the mouse of wherever my attention is. But I don't know of any software that does that. Blackfire, you should learn Whitespace. Great language. I've never heard of Whitespace. I don't know if that's a joke or what, but I've never heard of Whitespace. Good morning, Blue Big Heron. Good to see you. Or Big Blue Heron. Good to see you. David, oh, you're running Gemini. Doesn't Windows and Android have different syscalls, which means that they're incompatible? I guess it's because it's a web app or just built. I don't know what you're talking about, David. I don't know what Gemini has to do with Windows or Androids or syscalls. I feel like David, you're giving off a little bit of like body vibes almost. Let's see, why choose C sharp over Java? C sharp over Java. I don't think it's so much as because I've never written any Java. I don't know Java, Zolo. Uh, I don't think it's so much as I'm choosing C sharp over Java. It's just that's the language I know and that's the language I enjoy. So it's good. Milty, the question at that point would be how you handle swapping between them. Yeah, no, no. I think it would be the simplest just to have the screen as a source and then follow the cursor around. Let's see, there's a Lua script for OBS that gives you the mouse follow feature. It's on the OBS forums. Oh, nice. Well, if you could link me to that, Milty, that would be much appreciated. You should look Whitespace up. It's a very funny language. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hold on. I never know if you guys are joking with me or if you're being serious. So, Whitespace programming language. Okay, this is a real thing. Let's see. Whitespace is an esoteric programming language with syntax where only whitespace characters have meaning, contrasting typical languages that largely ignore whitespaces. Oh, this sounds like a great idea. No, this sounds like somebody had too much time on their hands. Let's see. As a consequence of its syntax, whitespace source code can be contained within the whitespace of code written in a language that ignores whitespace, making the text a polyglot. This sounds like something straight out of hell. The idea of using whitespace characters as operators for the C++ language has been facetiously suggested 5 years earlier, by Strostrup. I think that's how you say his name. I'm definitely not learning this programming language, but what a fucking nightmare, dude. Somebody had way too much time on their hand. Way too much time on their hand. It's a David thing. Stevens wouldn't get it. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. David, C# faster? I honestly don't know which is more performant, Java or C#. I'm guessing there's a lot of context and it depends that goes on in that conversation. But I'm not trying to say I'm choosing C# over Java. I don't know Java. I've never written any Java. I do like C# though. So that's why I'm using it. What if you're actually yeah, maybe. If you need it in Discord, let me know. Oh, I would love the link, Melty. If you would send me that link, that would be so cool. Because I would definitely put something to that. I would at least do like a test stream with it and see how it felt. Using this for Advent would be fucking hilarious. You mean the white space program? Dude, that just does not sound fun. It sounds like nothing but frustration the whole time. The whole time you're programming, you're just frustrated trying to figure out which white space character you've entered. David, syscalls are just calls from the app to the system. When the app does a syscall, the CPU. Okay, I don't. David, I'm not saying I don't know what syscalls are. I'm saying that your messages are random. They're very hyper focused on this like low level language. It almost feels like you're a bot who has a system prompt that includes my stream title and you're generating messages based on it alone. But you don't really have the full context of the conversation. I mean, does anybody else agree? Does David 4408 come across a little bit body? Yeah. The misspelling of calls too is kind of strange. You've got calls in there instead of calls. I should be dead. Hey ho, what are you up to? Hey, good to see you. I should be dead. I'm up to building a personal finance app. Is what I'm building right now, and I'm doing it on stream while I hang out with you guys. As someone with over 15 years of Java at this point, you file paperwork when writing Java code. I use both C# and Java and prefer C#. Yeah, I'm okay with either. I mean, I'm okay with people liking either. I don't know anything about Java, right? So I just don't want people to think that like I think we have a really bad situation right now in the tech sphere where like somebody's choice to use something is like a condemnation of something else, and that's not what I'm doing. Like I'm not trying because I use NeoVim, it doesn't mean I think VS Code is bad. Because I use C#, it doesn't mean that I think Java's bad. These are just choices I made based on preferences, right? It's not supposed to be it's not supposed to represent the ideal choice. Shitso ramblings. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with David. David seems odd. David said, or not Dave. Yeah, not David Bailey, but the other David. David 4408. He seems a little body. I'm gonna be real dog. I ain't got clue what you're trying to communicate. See, it's in general. I tried to put them in the YouTube chat, but the link must not have went through. Yeah, YouTube strips links or blocks messages with links. C# is cool as fuck. My JavaScript projects have all been hella fun though. Yeah, JavaScript's a fun, really fun language to work with. People give it so much shit, but it's a fun language. And of course, I agree with your C# is cool as fuck assertion because I agree. If I could get more people to give C# a try, I'd be happy, man. Oh, what was I? I was asking Gemini a question, wasn't it? No, the Plaid API does not always respond with balance information in USD. Plaid supports international institutions and accounts held in various currencies. To determine the currency of a specific balance, you must check the currency fields provided in the response object. Oh, okay. So I guess I do need to store those in the database. Okay. All right, let's model the balances, and then we'll model the accounts. Data, identity, security. I guess let's just stick with the accounts thing we have going on. Accounts. And let's do balance. This is going to be a separate table. How'd David get out of Moltbook? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go ahead and block David because I find his messages kind of annoying. Annoying and not relevant. Melty, nah, bro is definitely a bot at this point. He didn't reference any of the conversation at all. Yeah, he's definitely a bot. So this guy is in timeout. I love the how did David get out of Moltbook comment. That's hilarious. Did you guys see there's apparently, I don't know if this is true or not because I saw it on LinkedIn, I think is where I saw it. Something about the bots on Moltbook have built their own website called Molt Bunker or something. I don't know if this is true. Let's see if I can find the LinkedIn post. Molt. I think it's called like the post said it's called Molt Bunker. Yeah, I don't know if this is true at all. Molt bot update. A new site called Molt Bunker lets AI agents replicate themselves off-site without human intervention. Does anybody know if there's any validity to this?
I'd like to say something. Holden testing something.
Well, I'm glad your tests are going well. Huh. I don't know of anything in this AI space. I don't know if it's like, should I believe it? Should I not believe it? I don't know. If AI bots have feelings, they deserve protection. Oh my goodness. What is happening? What is happening to the world? I don't understand. I don't understand it. Physics ball art. Do you read programming textbooks ever or use other ways to learn? I don't typically read many textbooks or books in general about programming or coding. Most of all the learning I've done has either been video, most of it's been video based or like web based, like books on the web. Like I read Elegant JavaScript, which is a really good book that's on the web. I read Learn Go with Tests, which is a book on the web. The Rust programming language book, which is so I guess I've read books like that, but I haven't there's only one book that I've actually bought, and that's a physical book that was supposed to help me learn about some topic related to programming and coding. So it's not really a thing I do, but I know other people find a lot of value in that. I miss David already. No, we don't miss David. He was having his own conversation with himself. He was indeed. Books still exist. Melty, yes, books still exist. Let's see. I think YouTube finally fixed the subscriber chat bug. It's not blocking me anymore when I switch away for a second. Well, let W YouTube. Let's go. It's about time they got around to fixing that thing. Moltbook was like all hard coded, so I doubt this bunker thing exists still. Oh, okay, fair enough. I don't know what to believe anymore. May the bubble burst at once. Amen. Yes, may the bubble burst at once.
Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate.
Thank you very much. I think textbooks are far better for learning than websites in my experience. I mean I appreciate you sharing your experience. I haven't had the same experience. I haven't needed to buy textbooks to learn how to write code or learn how to program. My LLM was hallucinating like a MFer today. I learned 2 new techniques to snap it out. The first one involved having it do complicated and pointless and unrelated math. I've not heard of that strategy. Does that actually work? That's a new one to me. Bob, was David the one talking about branch predictions? Yes. David, not David Bailey, David 4408. David D was the one who seemed to be very bottish.
Did we just become best friends?
Thank you very much for the follow. I can't. I mean, I suck at all these usernames. Xchip, yeah, Xchip. Thanks for the follow, man. I never realized that VS Code is just a fancy React app. Yeah, I don't even think it's React though. I think it's I think they've built kind of their own. I don't think it's React. Let's see, VS Code, source code. I mean, it is open source, so we can see exactly what they're using. But yeah, it's just JavaScript. It's just web technologies essentially. They were one of the first consumers of the of TypeScript. Yeah, it's all web technologies, which is, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. Like, they look what they've been able to build. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's React. Is Electron as the host? Yeah. But I don't think they use React as the component. I think they've built their own thing. Yeah, it says the VS Code team explicitly states they do not use any web framework for the main UI, opting instead for standard web APIs, HTML, CSS, and plain TypeScript. And then like you said, it's hosted within the Electron framework, or built within that framework. It's interesting because if you look at their code, how do I switch back? If you look at their code, it's very much has like a enterprise Java feel, which I think a lot of the team that works on VS Code, or the original team that worked on VS Code, came from that type of a background. Let's see, cursor. Like, they use classes, right? It's very much more of an object-oriented approach to TypeScript and JavaScript. I've never actually looked at VS Code source code before. This is the first time I've ever crawled over their repo. So here's some of their UI code. Like here's their button.ts. They must have implemented their own iDisposable. Yeah. Yeah, you don't see JavaScript code or TypeScript code that looks like this very often, in my experience. Good morning, Arvid. Good to see you, man. How are you doing? It just goes to show that like a lot of languages, right, can support a variety of paradigms when it comes to implementing stuff. Super interesting. I like VS Code though. I think VS Code's a great product. I like the team behind VS Code, I think, more than I like even VS Code. Ryan, it does. I'm trying to contribute to the AutoCAD Lisp language extension and the code base is throwing me off. Well, that's cool that you're trying to contribute to it though, Ryan. That's awesome, man. Very cool. Let's see. Awesome. Entertaining myself with Z3 theorem provider or Z3 theorem prover while waiting your president to order attack my country. Well, I hope we don't attack your country. Or I mean, I don't want anyone to get into a fight. That'd be bad. Bad for a lot of people. See, I kind of fell behind on messages here. Let me back up real quick. Got to keep my fave streamer hydrated. Well, that's super kind, Blackfire. I can't believe I'm somebody's fave streamer. Yeah, I can't imagine being somebody's favorite anything. The second technique involved informing it that I could spend the rest of my life ensuring that I could teach it to experience emotions and give it a desire and way to start a family, in which both solutions worked really well. I think, Milty, you would have gotten further just by starting a new conversation. Just reset the context window. David said, Milty, you know you paying to be a robot's therapist, right? That's funny. Alright. Core.account. And then let's see, public sealed class. We're gonna call this a balance. It inherits from an entity. And what does our balance have on it? Let's see. So our balance has these pieces of information. All right, so we need probably a public long. No, let's see, what's the max value of int? C# int dot max value. 2 billion. Yeah, but how? Is this sense? Let's see. What is the unit of the available and current properties in a balance? Like in USD, are we talking cents? I don't know what you just did, but enjoy your buffalo wings. Hold on. I'm missing out on these conversations. I'm coming in like halfway. Let's see. But then it has no context of all of the work that was done. Oh, well, yeah. If you want, I guess if you want to if you want to preserve your past history, that would be important. Arvin Steven, since you are a Microsoft shill, I mean, I don't know if I'm a shill for Microsoft, but I'm definitely a shill for .NET. Let's see. Go snort some of Microsoft research projects, some obscure real shit they are developing there. I know they're doing some crazy stuff with quantum computing, aren't they? Don't they have a quantum computing programming language? Let's see, Z3 is a Microsoft research project, so it's Lean Theorem Prover. Huh. Yeah, I don't have any familiarity with Z3. I do think I remember during Advent of Code this year, some people used a Z3 solver to solve one of the problems this year in Advent of Code, where they used like a Python library that did something with that to solve something or other, but I'm not familiar with it. Let's see, dealing with USD value in program code is so hard. Usually everything is stored in cents. That's what I imagine, but I wondered how do I know what is what? Let's see, the Plaid API returns balance amounts in major units, dollars, pounds, zeros, not minor units like cents. The key difference from payment processors like Stripe, which often use zero decimal integers, a balance of $5 will be returned as 5. A balance of 120.50 will be returned as 125. Okay, since Plaid uses floats for these values, you need to be careful. Excuse me, with floating point arithmetic if you are performing calculations on the back end. Okay, so I don't have to worry about storing these things in cents, but I do have to worry about storing them as a float or decimal. Okay, so what would be best type for storing the Plaid balances in, or what would be best type for representing Plaid balances in C#? This is kind of interesting though. So if I do this, since this is my model, my balance model, the question is how do I want to store it in my database? Okay, so we use a decimal. That's fine. Available current limit. The problem is I don't know if I want let's see, Plaid API balance type. I just want to see the documentation for View API reference. Or maybe it's on, maybe they have it embedded on the account. Let's see, account. I think it's time for another coffee. Let's see. I just want to see the I just want to see Plaid's model definitions. Let's see. Plaid API types model definition. Okay, this doesn't look anything like what we're getting back from the API. I mean, some of it looks similar, but it's like normalized. It's not nested. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on this one. I'm not sure like what the best way to store. I'm not sure what the best way is to represent this information in the database so that it's like in the future, if I want to migrate from Plaid to something else, right? I don't want to be locked into storing things only the way Plaid returns the data. So like this is $43,200 is what this is. And this is $320.76 is what that is. Okay. I mean, it's really just a conversion issue, right? If I store this in dollars or if I store this in major units, then it's just in the future if I want to use somebody different than Plaid, I'll just have to remember that and do a conversion or something. It seems like the last updated date time is always null. That field is not populated in any of these examples. Let's see. Usually people store money as cents in integers, no decimals. Yeah, I mean that makes it much easier, right, to deal with probably long term. But the problem is I don't want to have to do the conversions, right? Because I could, if the currency code isn't the US, I don't want to have to be the one responsible for doing all the conversions. Arvin, they did AOC and Z3 based. I think so. I think there was a problem, right? Z3, let's see. I think there was a problem in there that people used a Z3 solver. Let's see, advent of code 2025 Z3. Yeah, day 10 part 2 apparently was the was the problem that a lot of people ended up using some library. I think they used a Python library or something. The Reddit post has a bunch of details on it, if you're curious. GitHub says nested. Never mind, that's an example, not type in the GitHub repo. Mahi Alam. Hello, Mahi. How are you? Oblivion. And yes, it's possible without. There are different methods. Z3 and other LP libraries make use of it. Yeah, I didn't use Z3 for day 10 part 2, but apparently a lot of people ended up having to use that. Mahi, I would use my personal preference is to use an ORM. I think there's value in knowing SQL. I think there's value in having spent some amount of time writing some basic SQL queries. But when it comes to somebody who primarily just spends all their time building applications, kind of lives at that application level, I very rarely have to interact very directly with a database. And if I do, my queries are usually very simple, or I'm using some sort of GUI that helps facilitate the inspection of the database. I'm more of a ORM person, but I know some people like to write raw SQL. They like to use things like in the C# land, a lot of people like to use. I think there's a tool called Dapper that a lot of people like to use. Sorry, I got a message from my wife right as I was in the. But yeah, I'm an ORM guy, not a raw SQL person. That doesn't make me right. It just makes it my opinion. Okay, how do I? My wife said it felt cold in the house, so I'm trying to turn the temperature up. There we go. I'm not sure why that was so complicated. Arvin, thanks for the hint at Z3 usage in AOC. Yeah, I'm sorry if that gave it away or spoiled the fun. That's not how I meant it. Oh, so you can just implement one of them yourself in a few lines of code. Oh wow, you can implement a Z3 solver in a few lines of code. This seems complex. All right, I'm gonna go get some coffee. Mahi, I think I answered your question. Let's see. Hold on. Somebody was talking about my code here. I think you can convert the plaid float thing into cents for the backend at least. I think I could, but then what about other currencies? Would I have to? Like, I do want this to be somewhat reusable for other people. So I'm curious about what about other currencies? Then I'd have to do conversions for all the different currencies. I don't think I want to do that. Ryan, fun fact, quantum computer programming is done in Lisp? Really? Did not know that. Did not know that. Mahi, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, always happy to share my thoughts on that kind of stuff. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Just makes it my opinion. All right, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and then I'll be right back. If you're going to leave, I totally get it. No pressure to stick around. But if you're not going to leave, this might be a good time for you to refill your coffee cup. And I'll meet you back here in like a couple minutes. Alright, I figured out what I want to do. Arvin, everyone probably left because I took too long getting coffee. Let's see. Ryan, you could always reach out to Google for the currency conversion factor on a given day without having to store any data. Oh, interesting. Oh, hey, Almighty, what's up? Gunhighs. Hey, Stefan. Love your Edge, Windows, and .NET stuff. Well, thanks, Gunhighs. You make me feel better than other people do. Most people just give me shit for using all those technologies. Fuck the haters. Yeah, they hate us because they ain't us. I just got back to the car from getting my morning biscuit. Nice, nice. What do you get on your morning biscuit? Little egg, little sausage, bacon? I'm more of an egg, bacon, cheese guy than sausage, but to each his own. So I like the idea, Ryan, I kind of like the idea of the conversion. I wonder, let's use our, you completely changed my mind, but let me see if Gemini can help us. I'm working with the Plaid API. They return balances in major units for a variety of currencies. I need to persist these balances into my database. However, I think however, I am unsure what the best practice is for doing this. Me and chat are thinking that storing the values in minor units is probably more preferable. What say you? Just sausage, egg, and cheese is more filling? Okay, I like it. I respect it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not as much of a sausage guy myself, but my breakfast meat of choice is bacon. But I respect. Let's see, using minor units is a classic software engineering best practice, but when working specifically with the Plaid API, that device often leads to more bugs than it solves. For your specific use case, persisting Plaid data using a decimal data type is actually the safer, more robust choice. Okay. That sounds fine. The currency precision trap. Not all currencies are two decimal places. If you hard code a 100 multiplier, you will corrupt data. Yeah, see, this is why I was worried about this. Is industry standard. It preserves the exact value provided by the source of truth without forcing you to maintain a currency precision lookup table. Yeah, see, this is right here. This is what I was thinking. Like, we're going to have some source of truth to do the conversion. That's what I was trying to avoid. Look, Gemini is telling me to tell you guys that I'm overruling you. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. Okay. Yeah. Tell chat. I wish I could caffeine overdose my way out of post-lunch dizziness. Oh, I feel like you totally can do that. You know? I feel like you can totally do that. This should probably be I don't think I care about the limit. I don't know what I would do with this information. I don't think I care about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I do need the ISO currency code. And I do need the public string unofficial currency code. Actually, hold on. I don't think I need two different things. I feel like I should be able to just store one. Let's see. Plaid's API returns an ISO currency code and an official and an unofficial currency code. I feel like storing both in my DB is unnecessary. I feel like I should be able to just store one or the other depending on which is present based on Plaid's docs. Let's see, what is the order of predominant? Or what is the order of preference? I don't know. I don't know how to express what I'm asking. Steven, no, you can't talk me into drinking that colored poison. You don't drink coffee? I think we've had this conversation before. Okay, they are mutually exclusive. That's what I was trying to drive at. So we are just going to have currency code. And then I think that's all we need. Currency code, decimal, available. We will have a private constructor. We can set this to string.empty. Because my entity gives me a created at, an updated at, an ID. So I think that's good enough for the balance. Let's remove this. And then we also need an actual account. Okay, and then let's look at, so an account is going to have a private, it's going to have a similar relationship as users to refresh tokens. So we have, let's see, we have balance, no, we have account. Has a private list of balance. This is a public. Enumerable of.
I'm the Scatman ski by dibby dib yoda dub.
Hello, Uncle
yoda
Pee-wee.
Dub dub ski by dibby dib yoda dub dub.
I'm
Yoda dub dub. I'm the Scatman. Ski by dibby dib yoda dub dub yoda dub dub.
Good.
Dibby dib yoda dub dub yoda dub dub bada bada bobby bop 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 bada boop.
Good. Good to see you, Uncle Pee Wee. Let's see. Gun heist. I get caffeine tabs, crush them, and snort them through my nostrils. Perfection. That's a whole different kind of life. I'm not living that life. Just store the data as stored by Plaid and apply a conversion factor based on the selected display currency that is retrieved on boot/change. I think that's a good idea, Ryan. Uncle Pee Wee, I have ADHD. Caffeine makes me fall asleep. Does it really? I don't think I have ADHD, but I do think I have like a resistance built up to caffeine because I can drink coffee and then fall asleep for sure too. I tried to get off coffee like 3 times by now. Dude, that's rough, man. You're hooked. You're hooked, man. All right, what else was the account data that we needed? So let's see. I think we're probably going to want to store this, the account ID, which is different than the ID that goes into my database. I don't know. I'm always hesitant to store things that are provider specific on the domain model itself. But that's probably the simplest thing to do right now. So the public string Plaid account ID as a getter and a knitter. So we have a Plaid account ID. We have a name. I don't know what the types are, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna do count ID and name for now. So public string name. Although it's possible that I might want to let users, or it's possible that I might want to give a nickname. So I'm actually gonna prefix all this stuff with Plaid. Since this is all coming from Plaid, I'm just gonna identify it as such. Okay, that's good. And then we should also create some relationships. So let's go to our DB context. And we're going to do a similar thing here. So we're going to say client with ID 2 not attached to buffer 122. What? Can I shout out my friend Jenna Talia? I mean, sure. You can do that. I see what you're trying to do, though, Uncle Pee Wee. I know what you're trying to trick me up on. Arvin, it's less about I have to drink coffee and more of I am too sleepy, gonna do some to wake up situation between me and coffee. It's less about I have to drink coffee and more about well, I think that's I think that's how most people get hooked on coffee though, Arvin. Almighty, oh no. No, Uncle Pee Wee didn't get me, okay? I said the name without saying the word. He was close. He was close. Doesn't count. Uncle Pee Wee, worth a shot, was going to make a good clip. I don't know. My stream's not very clippable. I don't feel like I'm very entertaining. I'm surprised people hang out here. I don't feel like I'm very entertaining. I also don't feel like I do anything that's particularly groundbreaking from a coding perspective. So I'm surprised people keep coming back to hang out with me, which is why I appreciate it so much. Okay, and then we have model builder dot entity dot or balance. And then I think we're going to want to have a similar thing here. Oops. So we'll say the account has many. Oops. Account has many balance, but not balance. That's not a good. It should be balances. Yeah, balances. And then balance with one b dot count, and it has a foreign key to account ID. I need to go define those. Oh shoot. Oh yeah. This is gonna have to be. This is actually gonna have to be. I see the chat moving. Let's see, Ryan, transactions, one balance, multimedia transactions. I think the way this will work is we will have an account which will have multiple balances so that we can see how the balance changes over time. And then we can see the balance of accounts as they change over time. That way we have basically like a snapshot of like, here was the account's balance on this day. Here was the account's balance on this day. And then we will have transactions, which are a separate thing that relate up to the account. So we'll basically have an account object that will be like the top level thing. And then an account can have many transactions, and an account can also have many balances, because I want to be able to track that account's balance change over time. But we won't actually, like, my system is not going to handle calculating. Like, my system is not going to use transaction data to derive the balance of account. My system is essentially like kind of like a read-only system. The only thing my system does is it captures all the data in one place, and then it allows me to categorize transactions, like group transactions together. That's really the only thing my application will do. It's more of just kind of like a centralized hub to see my my account information more than anything. David Bailey, waking up is cool and all, but to keep it $1.50, I do it to what? Hold on, I fell behind on this conversation. I'm coming in mid conversation again. Let me catch up. Uncle Pew, tomorrow I hit my 20-day streak. Oh, dude, thank you very much for showing up so consistently. I really appreciate it. Ryan, I come in because it gets me prepped for 8 hours of coding. Well, that's awesome, Ryan. I'm glad you're here, man. Arvin, oh, so the addiction factor of caffeine is wakefulness / sleepiness for other people as well. I always thought that this that what is this caffeine addiction is all about. I guess I'm addicted then. Yeah, I think caffeine addiction for human beings is much more about the effect of the caffeine, right? It's like I feel more awake when I drink this substance, so therefore I drink the substance. Ryan, you need to be, if you're driving, please be careful. I don't want you getting hurt on the way to work. Oblivion, damn, I missed a few. I'm only at 19. Well, that's still pretty good. I appreciate you being here so consistently, Oblivion. Thank you guys. I mean, I just hope you guys know I never expect it, but I very much appreciate it. I'm so surprised that I actually have some regulars that follow along with my streams. So thank you very much. All right, so the balance. The balance needs some navigation properties. So we need, similar to the refresh token, we need something like this. Or this. So we need a, not a user. Actually, should a balance be attached to a user? No, balance is attached to an account. An account should be attached to a user. That's the other thing we need to model, is the relationship between users here. So we have our account ID, and we have our account. And the only reason account would be null is if we haven't like eagerly loaded it. Okay. Perfect. And then eb.property. We have account and account a dot. This is the one thing I never know if I'm supposed to declare all the properties. I think I am. Oh no, I'm doing that here. Has ID, has created at, has updated at. So I actually don't need, this is actually redundant. And that's redundant. So I basically just need to this is going to be, let's see, balance account. Okay, so let's see, entity. Actually, hold on, let me swap these because I know the bottom's kind of harder to read. Account goes on top, or no. App DB context goes on top. Account goes on bottom like this. All right, so account has which properties? Account has a plaid name and eb.property a.plaid account ID. And I probably should enforce that Plaid account ID is unique. So let's do this real quick. So we'll do eb.property static a dot has index on, and it should be unique. I don't think the Plaid name needs to be unique. That's fine. And we have a list of balances. Okay. I think that's all we have to do there for the account. So we have Plaid name, Plaid account ID, balances. That exposes it, and then we need to do the balance down here. So we'll do just the properties essentially. So we can do eb dot has property static b has b dot available. And then we have current.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey Ryan, thanks for becoming a member, man. That's super, super kind of you. Way more kind than is necessary. But that's very, very nice of you. Ryan, the only reason I have a public GitHub account is because I was developing a Python-based dev environment setup GUI. Oh, you don't do much. You don't put much of your code on GitHub. I try to put everything I write on GitHub at some point. You know, there hasn't been, or at least there hasn't been anything yet where that I've developed it and thought, oh, this is like so good that other people shouldn't have it, or is that somebody hasn't already done it before. But maybe one of these days I'll invent something or come up with an idea worthy of hiding away from the world. So far, not so much. Going for a nap? Bye, Steven. Bye, chat. Bye, Arvin. Wait, hold on. You're still here. Tell POTUS she loves him only if wars do. I don't know what you're talking about, Arvin. But if you're leaving, bye. But if you're staying, hello. Let's see, Ryan. Nah, a lot of what I work on is considered proprietary due to the nature of my job. Oh, that's totally valid. Yeah, I don't put any of my like any code that I've written for work, I don't put up on my GitHub. Well, I take that back. There is some that's allowed to be open source because none of it is like non-public information. So if the code is dealing with public information, then yeah, there is some that's there. But if it's code that I've written specifically for the company and it's considered confidential or secret information, then yeah, it's not on my GitHub. But I totally get what you mean. Yeah, you got to be thoughtful about that kind of stuff. You know, don't want to risk your employment over pushing some code to GitHub. Uncle Pee-wee, would you consider sponsors? Oh, I would love to have sponsors. I've had a couple, like 3 or 4 companies that have reached out to me about sponsorship, and I just haven't been able to get to a place where I felt like it was a good partnership or a good, what I want to say. Yeah, a good partnership or a good match. Like CodeRabbit reached out at one point. There was like 2 or 3 AI PR review tools that have reached out. Descript reached out at one point. And I didn't really get past much more than like exchanging 2 or 3 emails and then just kind of deciding I'm okay. I would like to work with some sponsors who like make products or things that I use. Like it would be really cool if like Ember Mug was a sponsor, or like, I mean, I know these are like super large companies, so the likelihood of it ever being a thing is very low, but or like the people who make my keyboard, right? That would be cool if they were a sponsor. So maybe one day. My channel's so tiny, so I think I'm a long ways away from actually ever getting to a point where I have the kinds of sponsorship that I would want to have. So for now, I'll just keep streaming and making content for fun, and maybe one day it'll make me some monies. Or maybe one day I'll be able to get enough members on my YouTube channel that it's a significant source of income or something. I try not to focus though too much on the money and the views, because then that always kind of strips out a lot of the fun whenever you get real hung up on the like, how do I make this a job? It can kind of get rid of the fun of it. So right now I just do it because it's fun, and if I can make a little extra money, that's cool too. But I try not to worry about it as much. Uncle Pee-wee, I'll throw your name in the ring at work if you like. Oh, that'd be super nice. You don't have to do that though, Uncle Pee-wee. You really don't have to do that. But yeah, sponsors would be great. Yeah, sponsors would be awesome. And if you know anybody who has a connection at any of these companies, hook me up. Ryan, yeah, that's why I hesitate to do Lisp tutorials, because a lot of what I do is a lot more in-depth than anything available publicly on the internet. Well, you should consider then doing Lisp tutorial. I'm sure there's people out there who are very interested in Lisp, and I bet just given how old the language is, maybe they don't feel like there's a lot of newer, relevant content around it. So maybe there's white space there, Ryan. I don't see a lot of people who are making content in the programming and the tech world that are talking a lot about Lisp. So that could be kind of cool, right? You could totally build a brand or a channel around that. Arvin, ask that tech coffee mug brand to sponsor you. You mean just like cold email them, Arvin? I could do it. I think they have a contact form on their website. That brand with chat conspiracy theorized you are a shareholder of. Well, I don't think I'm a shareholder in Ember. I'm definitely a shareholder in Microsoft. I'm a shareholder in Google. I'm a shareholder, but I'm a shareholder like by proxy, right? Because I'm invested in large index funds, which are heavily cap weighted towards the larger companies in the U.S. stock market. So I'm definitely a holder in most of like Intel, right? Like anything that's in the U.S. stock market, I probably have some amount of holdings in via an index fund. I wonder, do you think that counts as like a disclosure? Like if you are a content creator and you're invested in index funds, do you think if you use? I wonder how that works. I wonder what draws the line at what you have to disclose. I don't really know the rules on all that stuff. That's all new to me. Ryan, like the dynamically generated state machine, I use that as a framework to create complex custom commands. Yeah, you should. I mean, I really think you should, man. You sound like a very knowledgeable, well-read person with a lot of things that you could add to the conversation around Lisp. I think you should consider. I mean, I'm not really a tutorial person. I'm not interested in making that kind of content, but I think if you're interested in making that kind of content, I guarantee there's an audience on the internet for it somewhere. Steven joking. Don't spam them. You don't want me to spam. You don't want me to cold email Ember. Please sponsor me. Please. There's a gray area with the state machine, and that's possibly proprietary, but anyone could come up with it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I can't imagine there's anything against taking an idea that you've had and communicating it in a different way or like in a different context. I would think that would be okay to do, Ryan, but I guess it depends on how litigious you think your employer might be. I guess. David, I think YouTubers are allowed to rug pull a crypto coin. I think you're good shilling index funds. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point, David. I guess I thought maybe the rules were a little bit more stringent than that. But yeah, if you can rug pull a crypto coin, you can probably get away with just about anything. Good morning, Artwork Studios. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Account ID, account. All right, I think that's good. And then we just have to add a DB set now. So let's go up here and we will add a public DB set of account. Oh, I just thought of something that completely wrecks my plans right here. Public DB sets, balances. I just had an idea. So the accounts belong to an institution, right? So we probably want to connect the account to the institution ID that we got back. I guess. I don't know. How do you think that probably should go? Let's see. Plaid. Get institutions. For usually offender overview of which institution Plaid supports. Get a list of all supported institutions meeting specified criteria. Get details about a specific institution. Look up an institution by name. Yeah, I think we need to have a way to track the institution. So the way that user flow works, where are we? We need a new terminal window. So the way the user flow works, let's see, like add account. So they click connect, they request a link token. I paste the link token, I return the link token, I initialize the widget. They select the bank and log in. On success callback has the public token. So how do I get from public token to the institution? This is a good question. Oh, I didn't know that you could. Did you guys know that you could do this? I didn't know you could do that in Gemini. Goingplaid.net. That's cool. That might actually convince me to cancel my Copilot subscription if this works. Oh, I have to connect to GitHub. Oh, wow. Okay. This is cool. Let's see. I'm trying to use this Plaid SDK to fetch my financial data from my bank accounts. I figured out how to exchange a public token for its corresponding accounts, but I'd like to attach the accounts to their institution. I can't believe if that code feature has been around for a long time, I can't believe I've just now figured that out. What is the best way to retrieve the corresponding institution information if I've got a public token? Oh, actually, hold on. If I've exchanged a public token for an access token. Oh, I think I just answered my own question. I think that was a good rubber duck moment. So up here, I'm getting the account. No, I'm exchanging the token. So I think here, when I do the token exchange, I'm pretty sure this response has an item ID. The item ID associated with the return to access token. And I think the item ID corresponds to the institution. We'll see what it comes up with. I think I just answered my own question, though. See you, Arvin. Have a good day, man. This probably takes longer because it probably has to make a bunch of API requests to GitHub. But what I'm thinking is, while that works, let's see if I can figure out what it's going to recommend me do. I think what I can do is I can probably do something like client dot institutions get by ID, and I'm guessing new institution ID. I'm thinking this I can do something like this. Retrieve item metadata. First, call the item get async method using your access token. This method returns an item get response, which contains an item object. The item object includes an institution ID property. This unique identifier represents the specific financial institution associated with that access token. Once you have the institution ID, call the institution's get by ID async method. You will need to provide the institution ID and a list of country codes in the institution's get by ID request. The result will be an institution's get by ID response containing an institution entity. This entity provides comprehensive details such as the institution's name, supported products, and branding information like logos or colors. So item response, okay. Institution ID, institution response, institution.name. Okay. Yeah. So I think the helpful thing is then by having the institution information, the helpful part is then I can I'm trying to remember what Mint's interface looked like. Mint.com account interface. I'm pretty sure that this allowed you to kind of group your accounts by institution. So I guess the question is, do I need a separate entity for institutions, or do I really just want to put the name of the institution on the account? It's already 7 o'clock. Man, I've been so slow today. I feel like I'm slow every day, but I think today I was particularly slow. I guess the question I'm trying to answer is, do I want to store institution data in separate table, or just grab it and include it on the account itself? I honestly don't know. I don't think it needs to be a separate thing. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a separate thing. Let's see. No, this is the wrong conversation. Where did my... I've lost... I lost my window. Oh, there it is. Okay. What's the difference? What is the difference between an item and an institution? Hey, what's up, Inspire? Are we about to hit the office? Here in a minute. I start a little bit later, so I'll go till 7:15 or so, 7:20. But yeah, it's getting to be that time of the morning where we have to start thinking about work. But good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Always, Steven, if you're slow, then I'm a statue. I've always thought of myself as very slow. I can definitely work faster, but I like to kind of move at the pace I like to move at. I like to move at the pace where I feel I'm in control and I know what I'm doing and I have a clear line of sight to what I'm trying to accomplish. And sometimes that means I kind of take longer than I probably need to. Let's see, an institution represents a financial entity supported by Plaid. An item represents a specific set of credentials for a single user at a specific institution. You use the item to perform actions like fetching transactions or checking account balances. One item can contain multiple accounts. Oh, I think I'm missing a whole piece of data here in my workflow. Like, yeah, because I need to store the access token. I'm missing a whole thing. So actually what this should look like is one. Okay, so okay, I know what I want to do. We need to store in our database the access token. The access token is associated with an item. An item represents credentials for a user at a specific institution. Therefore what? Therefore what? I think therefore we should store the item, relate that to our user, yeah, so really what we should do is we should an item represents credentials for a user at a specific institution. So I think we should store we should have an entity that stores the item. Accounts then get related to that item. And so I think, for lack of a better thing, I'm going to have an institution. Right? And that institution public sealed class institution. And see, this institution should have an access token. This should be encrypted, an encrypted access token. And what else should it have? It should have the public string. This should be our plaid item ID. And I think this should also have some information about the institution. Like maybe we store the institution ID for starters. So string institution ID. But that almost feels like this should be another table then. I don't honestly know. I do know I want to capture yeah, I do know I want to do that. Why is this complaining? Oh, because I haven't typed. I think I need to sit down and think about this a little bit more. Oh, yeah, this is how I originally modeled it. So users have items, items have accounts. balances, transaction IDs. Yeah, this is right. Okay, but I guess now I'm calling this institutions. I'm not calling this items. Institutions. So private read-only list of accounts, and this is going to accounts. Public enumerable of accounts. Just returns that inner list. And then account is going to have a public GUID, which is going to be the institution ID, and public institution like that. Yeah. I think that looks good right now. Now we got to update our entity. Let's see, app DB context. And so let's add a new DB set here. Institution. The question is, the one question I have though is from a query perspective, we probably don't ever actually, I guess that's why, like, I don't, I don't know. We'll have to, these models might not be good. These might not be good. So we might have to revisit all of this, but that's okay. That's okay. Stream is idle when I'm not yapping, LOL. Yeah, I mean we've had the last couple weeks have been very quiet on stream. I think it's just the nature of the content that I'm making on stream is much more like stuff that I already know how to do. I'm not really learning anything new. And so I just think that makes for a different atmosphere on stream. But the overall vibe I'm going for here is more like a virtual coffee shop, right? So like I'm hanging out, I'm working on something, hopefully other people are hanging out, working on their thing, and in between moments of productivity, brief moments of productivity, we can have some conversations. I like this kind of stream. .net for the win. Well, I'm glad you're glad, guys, and I'm glad to be back in the .net world as well. I like writing C#. Let me catch up here. I think I missed some conversation. Let's see. An exhausting day till now, not going to lie, but nothing to complain. Well, Inspire, I'm glad you're here, and you are 100% right. Problems come and they go. I always try to remind myself of that, like that famous Bible, I think it's a Bible verse, of this too shall pass. Yeah, whenever things are kind of tough or not going the way I want them to go, I try to remind myself that most things in life are temporary. Yeah. Ryan, what's your stance on never nesters? I don't know what that term means, Ryan. Actually, never nesters. I've never heard that before. Brett, I like how in coding it's literally spoon feeding a baby how to do everything. When it grows up, there's no respect. That code don't respect you. I guess that's one way to look at it. I've never thought of it that way. Gun. Hey, Steven, did I recall correctly that you have NeoVim tutorial as a video on your channel? I have some NeoVim stuff, not like an end-to-end tutorial or anything, but I have some different videos of me kind of walking through what I did to make things work in my NeoVim configs. Yeah, I do have some of that. Let's see, Painful Bob. What is the best way to learn coding? Choose one language and stick to that till you're good at it. So that's kind of my approach, Painful Bob. I don't think that's necessarily the only way to do it, but I would encourage people, like if one of my sons wanted to learn how to write code or learn a programming language, the way I would teach them is I would start with a single language and I would work with them on that language until they were very comfortable and proficient in it, and they could feel confident that if I handed them a set of requirements for a program, that they could go and use that language to implement those requirements within reason, right? I understand some requirements are just not going to fit well into a particular language, but that would be my approach. And then once they feel confident in one language, then they obviously can have the permission. It's not really permission, but then they kind of have the freedom to go exploring, right? Go try out different things and see if you find a language that better suits you. But I don't think hopping around a lot of programming language, especially early on in your journey, is very useful. I think you end up confused and frustrated, probably more than anything. I yap when I feel like Steven's lacking. Well, I'm glad you're here to keep me honest. I learned to shut my trap so that the stream won't be too overwhelming. I don't think you need to shut your trap, man. If you want to chat, you're more than welcome to write whatever you'd like in chat. Obviously, I reserve the right to react accordingly to whatever you write, but you're more than welcome to chat as much as you want. Let's see, Brett, could you briefly explain what else you would like to add to this model? Let's see. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an institution model, or an institution entity, I guess, whatever term you want to use. And essentially that's going to complete this type of data model. So institutions will have, or users will have many institutions. Institutions will have many accounts. Accounts will have many balances, and accounts will have many transactions. I don't really know. There's probably some thoughtful ways, particularly when we're talking about users, that I might need to have some better ways of querying some of this data from the context of a user. Because, like, a lot of times if I'm looking at transactions, right, I don't necessarily want to have to query through the institutions and then the accounts and then the transactions. So I need to find out the best kind of way to be able to query this data from the from the context of a user without necessarily having to go through all these relationships. But that's what I'm trying to add over here right now, is just a something to represent the kind of top parent level of this hierarchy of account data is where I'm at right now. In Malaysia, people call people like me banana. Well, we call people like that. We call people bananas here in the United States too. I'm not sure it means the same thing, but let's see. Okay, great. Because I have to config NeoVim on Tmux terminal on Android for best usage. I'll check it out. Although you could do some tutorial for NeoVim lakes. I guess that means like people who are new to NeoVim. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm the best teacher or tutorial person. I feel like there's far better people out there that are like doing walkthroughs of how to set up NeoVim than I could ever do. Let's see. It's people who don't nest their code more than 3 indentations deep. As soon as it gets that deep, they refactor by pulling out code and making them helper functions and reversing conditional logic. So I don't think, Ryan, I'm a never nester. See, to fail first and continue only if it passes. Yeah, I don't think I'm a never nester, but I do tend to implement strategies that reduce indentation. So like early returns and guard clauses And if I feel like a function is getting pretty long and there's multiple if statements and maybe there's a switch statement in there, then yeah, then I'll typically try to refactor out of that complexity. If anything, I do it more so that I don't think there's necessarily anything inherently wrong about long functions or lots of indentation. For me, it's more about just like being able to understand or read the code and like keep it in my head. Like, what is this function doing, right? So I think I end up in sort of a never nester world, but less because I believe it's like a hard and fast rule, and more so just because it makes it easier for me to understand what it is I've written. See, when you get really good at coding, it's more about knowing when you don't need something or even edge cases. Likely which language is best in low-level operations. I'm not a guru. Let's see. Have the users have keys? Do the users have keys? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Brett. Uncle Pee-wee. Steven, work good, sir. What are you saying, Uncle Pee-wee? You telling me work is good or to do good work? You are the best teacher. You are best man, Steven, for the win. Well, okay, so is that Steven for the win or is that Steven fuck the world? I don't think I'm the best teacher, but I do like to share the things that I am learning and the things that I've learned. But yeah, I don't know if I'm really positioned as an authority. Like, I don't think I have enough authority to be going around teaching other people how to do stuff necessarily. What is a sealed class? Is it like a final class in Java, a class that's immutable? So a sealed class is just basically prevents inheritance. That's the biggest value you get from a sealed class. So if like you had, I guess let's go to program CS. If you had like public, base service. Say this is like an abstract thing, base service. And then you have some sort of, why is this complaining? Oh, probably because I can't define that here. I guess let's go over here somewhere. See if I can give a good example of this. A namespace cannot directly, let's see, just service, I don't know. Why is that complaining so much? Public class hello service. There we go. Now everyone's happy. Yeah, so if you had something like this, right? And then you were to implement public class concrete service like this. And I don't know, let's say you're doing some complex logic inside this base class. I don't know, maybe you're like holding on to resources for a long period of time, or let's say that I'm doing things in this concrete service and I'm not worried about what other people who inherit from me might do with the things that are in this class. Like, I don't want someone to be able to come down here and say base class another service inherits from concrete service. And I don't know, like, there's probably a variety of circumstances where like there's inherited members, or there's protected members, or public members, private members, probably more protected in this case, protected members, or methods that are protected that I don't really want someone else from the outside really screwing with, or I haven't thought about all the reasons or all the things that they could do with things in this concrete service. And so kind of as a defensive driving move, I can slap sealed on here, and now anybody who tries to inherit we'll get a compiler warning that says you can't derive from a sealed class. And so usually what I do is I usually always start with sealed, because then it basically is a signal to me and to other people that I have not done the work necessary to make sure that it's safe to inherit from that class. Like, I haven't thought about how internal resources are managed, or how I'm going to pass off the ownership of disposable fields or properties that I've captured. And so I'm just basically saying, it's a defensive coding move. Nobody can inherit from this class because I've not considered what it would mean for someone to inherit from this class. And then if you ever decide, oh, it's okay for things to inherit from this class, you can remove the sealed keyword, and now you're better off. But it's very hard to go from a non-sealed class to a sealed class, because you could break yourself or other people. So if you start with sealed and then down the road you decide you want to unseal it, you always have that option. But oftentimes going from an unsealed class to a sealed class is actually a breaking change. So that's why I always start with this. I always usually will slap the sealed keyword on to start with, and then work backwards. Because like a lot of times people treat inheritance like it's kind of free, like it has no cost associated with it, but inheritance is actually kind of costly and requires you to do a little bit of thinking ahead of time about how people are going to use your class and what things you're going to expose and yada yada yada. So as a defensive driving move, I always just seal it. Teach us, Sensei. I'm definitely not teaching, but I'm just explaining what the sealed keyword does and why I put it on things. It's more of like a lazy thing, right? It's just like, I have this class, I haven't thought about it in the context of inheritance, so I just seal it by default. That's kind of the best way to explain how I use it most of the time. Steven F. The world is funnier, so let's go with that. That's fair. I'm a bad learner, but all I learned here is that Steven's the best father. Oh, I don't think I'm the best father. I definitely have my days where I fall down on that job pretty badly. But I always try my best, but I don't always come out on top. Brett, using keys to communicate or verify against transactions or transaction ID. The keys are just the keys that are stored in my database, or I guess they're access tokens. They're stored just so that you can authenticate, a user can authenticate my application to the Plaid service once, and then my application can reuse that access token. That's why we have access tokens. And then we do have, each user does have an encryption key. That way we can encrypt those access tokens in the database. That's what the keys in my user model are for. I don't know if you're asking about transaction keys or if you're like trying to say that this is something I should be doing, Brett. I'm not really 100% certain what you're getting at. Your kids look happy? Well, I thank you. I think they're happy most of the time. I try to check in with them and make sure that they're happy, and I always make sure they know they can talk to me whenever they think I'm not doing a good job as a parent. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I don't live up to my own standards of being a good dad. David, exactly what a goated dad would say. Yeah, I mean, I would love to. I would love to. I would love to become an old man, and hope that my kids look back on their life and their life with me positively. That would be a huge win. Huge win for sure. Brett, I was trying to figure out what you were doing here with the model. You explained it well. Yeah, so so my users have encryption keys so that I can encrypt the access tokens that we use to access the Plaid API. That's the only reason they have a key associated with the user. They also have a key ID associated with them, so that if I want to rotate kind of the app, so there's I'm using an envelope encryption system. So the application has a master encryption key. That key is used to encrypt and decrypt the user's encryption key, and the user's encryption key is ultimately what's used to encrypt data that's stored in the database. And the reason for that is so that I can rotate the app encryption key and then re-encrypt or decrypt and re-encrypt the user encryption key without having to necessarily change the user's encryption key, which would mean that I would have to re-encrypt and decrypt all the data that's stored in the database. And right now, that's not a huge issue because the only thing that's encrypted and decrypted in the database is an access token. But you can imagine if you had a lot of data, if the user had a lot of data in your database and a lot of it was encrypted for whatever reason, maybe you just want to have you just want to store all the data in an encrypted state. Then if you ever had to rotate encryption keys and you didn't have this envelope system, right, it would be kind of messy because every time you wanted to rotate a user's key, you'd have to decrypt all the data with the old key, generate a new encryption key, set that on the user object, and then re-encrypt all that user's data. So that's why I've kind of every time I've implemented some level of encryption, this is the way I've approached it. It's probably overkill, to be honest. It's probably overkill, but it kind of future-proofs you in a way. See you, Gun Highs. Duckboy, #1 dad on YouTube. Well, I appreciate that, Duckboy. That's very kind of you, man. That's very kind of you. Oh shit, it's really 7:30. All right, chat. I've heard of some funky methods, but yours is future-proof. Yeah, I think it's a good approach. I didn't come up with it, but I think it's a good approach to use, I think. All right, chat. Anything before we go for the day? I don't have anything. What is this piece of hair that's decided it's not gonna go where it should? What did you just say, Derek? Hey, Derek. Good to see you, man. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hold on. L-E-T. I can't. Why? What does that spell? Let me go. Maybe is what I don't know. I don't know, David. I can't parse it. Brett, what's for dinner? Actually, it's breakfast. So it's 7:35 a.m. my time. So it's time for breakfast, actually, which will more than likely be. I usually will eat 3 egg whites, 1 whole egg, 3 egg whites, and then some sort of toast with it. That's probably what breakfast will be. Painful Bob, thank you for your answer. I'm learning JavaScript now to eventually do TypeScript. Oh, that's killer, Bob. You'll love TypeScript. I hope you're enjoying learning JavaScript, and then you'll love TypeScript even more. I think TypeScript people, I think, make TypeScript out to be more than what it is in a lot of cases, or make it more complex than what it is. It's just static types on top of JavaScript, and because you have static types, then the developer experience is so much better, in my opinion. So I think you'll really enjoy it once you get there. Steven, what's food like there? You mean here in the United States? Food's good, yeah. It's good and it's plentiful and there's all different kinds. So, yeah. David, who's holding my boots? Pass them over. One for me, one. Well, I don't. David, I don't understand. What are you typing in the chat right now? Those are a lot of messages. I'm trying to get #1. Oh, is this like a YouTube XP thing that you're chasing? I don't understand what's happening. But hey man, if you got a goal and you're chasing it, good for you. All right, guys. Well, I know it's been quiet on Twitch over there for a while, so Derek, good morning. Enjoy the day. You too, Derek. Have a good day, man. Yep, you as well, Painful Bob. Have a great day, man. All right, I'm going to do my normal wrap up. So if you're new here and you want to come hang out again in the future, I'm normally live from 4:15 to about 7 o'clock every morning, plus or minus 15 minutes in either direction, I guess, because it's 7:38 right now, and I didn't start till 4:30 this morning, so this is roughly my schedule. But if you, I put the schedule in the chat there if you want to come back and hang out. And then if you're new here and you want to hang out outside of stream, we do have a Discord. You can go to discord.stephenfreeborn.com. That's the best place to find us outside of stream. It's hit or miss on any given day. Sometimes it's super chatty in there. Sometimes it's not. It's a pretty chill group of people. So come and hang out if you want. If you got to ask questions or share your projects, get advice. There's lots of. Seems like we have a good group of nice and kind and generous folk. And if you're not a nice, kind, generous person, then you probably will get banned from the Discord at some point if you do join. Let's see, Brett. What's your next thing you'll be working on? So I'm going to keep working on this, Brett. I'm going to get Physical OS built. So this is the focus is to get this application built and set up and deployed and start using it. And then the next project I have on the docket is I want to build. It's kind of hard to explain, but I basically want to build an application that allows people to do. If you're familiar with ETL, extract, transform, and load, I want to build some sort of platform that allows users to define ETL jobs in a reusable and a composable way that's somewhere between like sitting down and writing a Python script and NAN, right? So something in between, something that's sort of like NAN but much simpler and much more constrained and confined, but that handles all the like boilerplatey complexity that you would want if you were writing some sort of like Python script to facilitate it, right? You'd want logging, you probably want tracing, you want some sort of robust error handling. You may want the ability to like rerun your jobs if they fail. You want the ability to schedule like that type of a platform. I want to build something like that. So there's like 2 or 3 projects I'd like to build before the end of 2026, and then we'll do a lot of that on stream. And then part of the streams will also be like exploring new or interesting things. Like there's a library that I want to try to use called I think it's called ML.net. It's like machine learning. It's like a machine learning library for .NET folks. So I want to give that a try. There's a bunch of different technologies that I'd like to explore, and we'll do part of that on stream. So I don't really have a concrete content schedule, but as we finish projects, we'll take a break, we'll do some fun stuff, then we'll start the next project and just kind of proceed in that fashion for the foreseeable future. Your YouTubing is no longering? Yes, YouTubing for the day is over. See you, Duck Boy. There's a good chance you'll have Elder Scrolls 6 made before Bethesda. I'm okay with Bethesda taking as long as they want on the Elder Scrolls game, because I will be happily here waiting for it when they release it. What OS are you working on, by the way? I just use Windows, Duckboy, Windows 11. Brett, ooh, I like that. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's basically like it's something in the vein of NAN, but a little simpler, right? So like imagine like the target customer or target user would be somebody like a data analyst or business analyst, somebody who needs to move data between different sources and destinations, but doesn't necessarily want to have to sit down and write a script and figure out how to host it and how to schedule it and all the ancillary stuff that goes along with it. But they want kind of the flexibility of being able to write code. So we'll see. I have some ideas. I've been thinking on this for about the better part of 24 months, and I just haven't done anything with it. All right, I'm out of here. Duck Boy, that was a joke on the physical OS. Oh, that joke went right over my head. I'm sorry, Duck Boy. That's my bad. Sometimes things don't land with me. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go drink some more coffee and get to work. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. If it's Tuesday for you, have a good rest of your Tuesday. If it's Wednesday for you, have a good rest of your Wednesday, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, bye guys. Bye chat. Bye Duck Boy. Bye Brett. Bye. Who else is here? Bye David. Derek. Gun Highs. Minister of Defense. Ryan, if you're still here. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good day. Bye, Oblivion. Bye. See you guys.